Hi, this is AtomBomb98, and today I'm going to be doing a knife review. I'm going to be reviewing one of Spyderco's most popular models, and as you can probably guess from the title, it's the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. This is just an op-focus product catalog that I got in the mail. You can get them for free on the Spyderco's websites. It's pretty cool, but this is just to introduce my knife. Put this aside. Here is the Spyderco. These are the boxes they come in. It's all pretty standard. Now you know it's the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 because of the title. But what you may not know is the exact version that I have. So there's a little bit of suspense involved there. I'm not going to keep you waiting too much longer. Here is my knife. The beautiful Spyderco Paramilitary 2. Satin blade, camo handles. Just in the box you just get the education. It just basically says, you know what, I'll show you what it says. You can pause the video and read it if you want. Okay, zoom in a little bit. You can see that, great. Alright, now, here is the knife. Show you a close-up. It's beautiful. One of my favorite knives that I have. Close second is Spyderco Manix. I'll show you that in a minute. But this is definitely out there as one of my favorites. Made in Golden, Colorado, USA, Earth. Just in case you forgot what planet it was made on. You know. The blade length is 3.4 inches. And the handle length, I'm reading it right here off of their website, is, doesn't say just the handle length. I'll measure it, I have a ruler. Oh, sorry. Handle length is a little over 4.5 inches. The Spyderco Paramilitary 2 has an S30V blade. Now, that is also one of my favorite blade steels because it has the perfect balance of edge retention, corrosion resistance, and ease of sharpening. As of 2015, there is no perfect blade steel. It's all, you just get trade-offs, you know. The harder the steel, the better it is at holding an edge, but at the same time, it's a lot harder to sharpen. Corrosion resistance is also a problem. Some of the cheaper steels tend to rust in more humid environments. S30V is perfect, for me at least, because of the fact that it's not too hard of a steel. I mean, it holds a very decent edge, but it's just hard enough that if you have to sharpen it with a little bit of time on like a decent sharpener, you can get it sharp. The blade shape is a drop point blade. It is very similar, in fact, to the Spyderco Delica. It's just a little bit bigger than the Delica, but it's the same overall shape. The Spyderco Paramilitary 2 has a really nice thumb deployment hole, which makes it extremely easy when opening with one hand. It allows you to just leave it right open. Also, the pocket clip is completely adjustable to tip up, tip down carry, right or left-handed. This knife is also completely ambidextrous because you can activate the compression lock with one hand, with your right hand, or you could even use your thumb to activate it if you were left-handed. That's what this lock is called, by the way. A compression lock. I'll try to show you how that works. Let me zoom in. Alright. You see the little liner back there? As you open the blade, there's a notch in the blade, if you can see that. As the blade opens, the liner, watch what happens. See that? It slid over into the notch, and that locked the blade. Until you push it out of the way, the blade then falls, and you can close the knife. And if you open it, let me show that one more time, it locks over. And there's a rivet back there, you can see where the screw is, that's holding that in place. So it's virtually impossible for the blade to close when it's locked open. Now also, the liners are drilled out, making the knife a lot lighter than, say, the Mannix here. This is my second favorite knife that I own. However, the reason it's not my favorite is because of the fact that the liners aren't drilled and it makes it such a heavy knife. This is 5 ounces, and the Spyderco, let me check on that real quick, is 3.9 ounces. So it feels a lot lighter. It's almost a whole ounce. Well, it's over an ounce lighter. And you really feel that when you're carrying it. Another thing I wanted to point out was the lanyard hole. That is a perfect lanyard hole, by the way. It allows you to thread paracord through there, even if it's frayed, you know? Whereas on, let me see, the Tenacious here, see how tiny that little lanyard hole is? You really have to work to get a lanyard through that. And I've tried. I'm not a big fan on lanyards, so I don't carry them much on my knives. But it's always good to have options. And the Paramilitary 2 gives you those options. Also, I said the blade material, I said it's made in Golden, Colorado, USA. In case you were wondering, the markings on the blade right there are from Sal and Eric Glesser from Spyderco. They just put their maker's marks on this knife because it's such a popular blade. They do that on a lot of their knives, actually. It is screwed together construction, which is a requirement for all of my knives. I do not buy any knife that you can't take apart because I like to clean them when they get dirty, and if you can't take your knife apart, they get really gritty in the pivot area. Alright, I want to point out a few of the negatives with this knife. Don't get me wrong, it's a great knife, but when I first got it, after about a week of light use, you know, just opening boxes, cutting paracord, opening envelopes, I looked at the blade and I noticed that there was a chip in the blade. Right around that area. Right in the edge part. Slight chip. And I knew before I got the knife that that was a design flaw of S30V, because it's such a hard blade steel. It tends to be a little brittle. So I was really worried, but I hooked it up to my Wicked Edge knife sharpener. And after about 20 to 30 minutes, I got it out and it's perfect now. You could never tell that that happened. And it hasn't chipped since. Also, I'm going to give you a warning right now about the blade shape. The tip is extremely delicate. Do not use this knife for prying tasks, alright? Do not pry anything with this blade. Same goes for the Delica, but especially this. Because it's such a hard steel as well, that also contributes. I was trying to pry the stupid child safety lock off of a Bic lighter, And I got it off, and then I looked at my blade, and I noticed that about 1/8 of the tip of the knife was completely chipped off. Again, this is the second time I chipped this knife, because it's one of my most used knives. I love it so much, you know. And yeah, that was more of a pain in the butt, because I actually had to reprofile the knife that time, whereas before I just had to sharpen it. But yeah, you know, same thing. I hook up to the Wicked Edge knife sharpener, spend about an hour on it, and now you can't tell that it happened. I got this knife about 2 years ago, actually. It was one of my first Spydercos I got, and I got it for $150 on eBay. This was during the time that Spyderco Paramilitaries were extremely hard to find because they were so popular, you know, and they still are. But there was a time where you couldn't find them. They were sold out everywhere. So I paid $150 for this on eBay, and I believe now they're going for like $120. So, you know, I paid an extra $30, but I still feel that it's worth every penny. This is an amazing knife. You'll feel it when you're opening it, just how smooth the blade is. Feels like so smooth. And then when it locks open, you get a nice click. And there's absolutely no blade play whatsoever. In any direction, up or down, side to side. Rock solid. And even if there was blade play, you could adjust it. Another thing I love about this knife is the blade centering. It's absolutely perfect on this knife. And that's the thing, you know, it's hard to find in a lot of knives. Let me see if my others are good. I have the Tenacious with me. That's not very centered. I mean, it's alright, not bad. But that's a $30 knife versus $120 knife. The Mannix, also very centered. Try not to do a review on these knives, so I'll review that in the future. This is about the Paramilitary too. It's a beautiful knife. Can't stop saying that, you know. Highly recommend it. If you have $120 to spend on a Spyderco, get the pair too. Another thing I forgot to mention before I go, I highly recommend getting the camo G10. The reason for that is just about dirt, you know. It hides dirt very nicely, whereas black G10, let me show you. You can kind of see right there how there's dirt stains. I don't know if the camera does it justice for this, but it is extremely dirty. And I'm sure this is just as dirty. You can't see it because of the camo. It blended in, literally. So, yeah, that's good. Also, it's a paramilitary, you know. Military goes with camo, you know, so. Yeah, that's my opinion. Highly recommend it. Great knife.